Welcome. This is Barry Jones from Angelic Wisdom, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for June 20th through the 26th, 2022. So, I'd like to begin by welcoming everyone back to this weekly series and to also welcome anyone who may be joining or viewing this our community for the very first time. This has been a very interesting past week for me, and I can see that from some of the things I'm getting from the angels that this is going to be an interesting week for all of us this week. So just I know there was like this super full moon or something, this strawberry moon they called it, and it's been a long time since I felt sort of the effects of a full moon. So one of the things that I saw very early on was the angel number 55, and this highlights, change, right? It says this is a period of out with the old, in with the new. Welcome these changes as they bring about new blessings. So, and I just saw too, angel number 759, but the 7 was split on one side of the tree and the 59 was on the other side. But I'm going to go ahead and read it together. Yeah, there's just, the energy's been a bit intense last week. And it says it's the right time to put your focus and energy into creating a spiritually meaningful career that makes your heart sing. And I feel like this is something that's really important right now at this time, for us to really to pour ourselves into the things that give us joy, that makes our heart resonate with our truth, and also that that helps us to really honor our sacred purpose. And many people might be struggling with what is their purpose, and it's very clear to me over the years as I've struggled with that myself. I think that there are these moments where sort of we experience confusion about our purpose. There are moments that we have great clarity about our purpose, and sometimes our purpose is something so in the moment, right? So there is a sense of clarity within a day or within an hour of where you need to focus and what needs to be done. You just have this strong sense of urgency, and and you move towards it without hesitation or without even really thinking about that you're doing it. And there are many levels to our purpose. There's this kind I'm just describing, where in a moment, the moment is so poignant that it focuses all of our attention on what we would call our purpose. There are messages that kind of continuously resonate with us or ring true to us. And those are too our purpose. They represent our purpose. They're writing these words like imaginative. There are these moments where, where our imagination sort of takes flight and is sort of caught up in a particular dream or goal And this too gives us purpose. It gives us purpose, but sometimes the purpose that we end up fulfilling might be slightly different from what we imagined. But the imagining, the dream, gives us a purpose and helps us to seek and find a purpose, or gets us moving in a direction of a purpose. And this is a conversation I've never had, even with myself. So these three aspects that you may have to replay this, right? And go back and listen, because I'm going to have to as well. But all in the same, there is not a moment where we do not have a purpose that is sort of burning in our hearts. But what is this confusion about purpose? Fear. There are times we're just afraid of the purpose that we're given. There are times that we're just too afraid to want to have the responsibility of a purpose, or sometimes we're just so too afraid to want to get out of the bed to even discover what that purpose is. So then there's denial, which is a result of our fear. And then denial is also something practiced, in the sense that it becomes a habit, right? It becomes a habit of denying purpose, the responsibility that goes along with the purpose, and the awareness of what it all means, and your doubt about you being the one to fulfill that dream or that goal. You know, it's a lot of those things, right? It's a lot of those things. But those three avenues that I just kind of mentioned, which I can't remember, I remember the imaginative one, and the first one I kind of remember, but all those different ways that, you know, purpose kind of hits us. Those are sort of just three generic channels that they're sort of revealing to me right now about how a purpose comes to us. The fact of the matter is that you can't be alive without even knowing or desiring a purpose. And if you don't know what your purpose is, you desire one. And most of us are stuck there in the desire. Of course, you know what the law of attraction is going to do with that, right? It's going to attract this yearning, because what we do is when we deny, it's like we create this cycle of want, of lack. I have a sense, I'm afraid of it, I pull back, I go into, I put blinders on, now I'm confused, I don't know. So if you don't know the bigger picture, but you have in a day purpose, things don't come to you. The tasks, the distractions, the interruptions, whatever they are, things don't come to you because you don't have a purpose. Things come to you because we're created for a purpose. And when we deny the purpose that's in our heart, then other things come. to fill in the gap. Things like distractions, interruptions. But the one thing that's never true is that we live without a purpose. And if we don't have one, well, and that's what we don't have. We always have a purpose. There's no absence of purpose. Because as I just said, the universe will attract something to you. It just might not be what you wanted because you're denying what you want, right? So, the universe sort of, as I've heard, abhors a vacuum. So we'll always fill it with something. And that is why you have to be aware of what you're offering. You can't keep practicing denial. Well, that is what the results, the consequences is that you'll attract things that don't really fulfill you, that don't make your heart sing with joy. And when they say a spiritual-based career, they're talking about not just, doing New Age things. They're talking about a career and work that resonates with your heart, that resonates with the joy within your soul, that resonates with the alignment of who you are, that authentic expression, oneness. So, they were also just sort of telling me, and they just wrote Congress, and when they wrote the 55 big changes and things like this. So I'm not quite sure what that means. I do know, or I get a sense that from another word they wrote, and I'll just be honest, often associated with evil, and it's just a symbol. But I feel that, more and more things are going to come out that might be really troubling. And it's just not, it's not that it's troubling, right? It's troubling. We're in a time where we're seeing sort of the truth, right? The truth is coming out. But the reaction to that is just not about what's going on. It's also about what we do. And when we deny our truth, because we all hide from our truth. That's what fear is. It's a part of our human struggle. It's just something that we keep factoring into the equation. It's not a part of the equation. It doesn't really ever affect the outcome of the math of God's love. Because God's love cannot be tampered or altered in any way. The math. I always believe that, God is love, meaning God equals love without the but. I mean, we can attach buts and people do it all the time, right? They go, comma, but. But the one thing is, we often say, well, if you do that, you negate the phrase that comes before it. But we don't have the power to negate that love. There's nothing that you or I could ever do that will change that. What it does change, what comes after the but, it changes you. It changes your perspective. It changes your relationship with God. It changes your relationship with your truth. And your truth is revealed through your intuition. Your third eye is in all of your your clairs, right? Claircognizance, all of this, clairsentience, all of these clair powers, we call them, are altered once you put the but. Whatever you say after that but, God is loving, you say but, you change from your perspective. You change that for yourself. But God's love remains the same and remains forever true. So, what is going on then? What is really going on? We're not allowing ourselves to be truly who we are. And because we haven't allowed ourselves to figure that out, to experience it, better to say. Because when we experience it, we'll never let it go. We'll never let it go. We'll never let anything win out. We might struggle, but we won't let anything win out on that joy that comes from really being true to ourselves, that comes from being true to the way we're wired. This is such a liberating thing, this wiring, because we're all wired differently, and you can be diagnosed so many different ways, but your wiring has a purpose. And when you are not denying and struggling with that, it will turn into joy. It will turn your life into the joy that it was meant to be. And you will always be on the path, and you will always be associated with the career, the people, and the things that bring you spiritual joy. This is the practice that you need to replace denial with. And once you replace this practice, then your purpose will be evident. You won't have to muddle around in your head. Your purpose will always be crystal clear. And of course, you'll probably have to learn how to manage and decide. But that also won't be difficult if you then just follow your intuition, follow your wiring. Like if you're wired where you don't have a lot of attention, or you're easily distracted, learn to just embrace it, because your intuition will move through it and flow purpose through it, and direction and timing. It will flow through that, and you'll get everything completed that needed to be completed by you. And the angels, God, right now, asking you to pray for acceptance of your wiring. Every morning, for several months, I wake up and I say, "Good morning, God." And it's it started a very interesting connection. It's the first thing I do when I open my eyes. And now it's like I get this clearer and clearer response each and every time. And one of the things that I felt like I sensed this morning, I said a really powerful previous week where just everything was just sort of in alignment, but I had so much to do, and I got it done, following my wiring and just, listening to my intuition and trusting, and then I was exhausted excited. And what I did is I threw my, from last Sunday, I threw my sleep cycles off the whole week. Just can't fall asleep. I feel like eager, to do something and stay up. But I also needed to rest. I had this back pain under one of my shoulder blades all week. Still a little residual of it there. And I realized, okay, I need to rest. But it was kind of like a downer because it's hard to rest when it's exciting to be alive, right? It's so exciting to be alive, to be honoring your wiring and following your intuition and having it be so clear, and have so many things manifest at once. Then I think what it was like a little bit of a letdown. But we need that downtime after we manifest or we have, and it was just hard to take, like lying down, and having sort of like time and space to, and what it was is like, I knew deep down I needed to rest and relax and recoup, but it was like I wanted to do something, so I felt guilty. You know what I mean? I know you've been there, right? You feel guilty because you're relaxing. But that was the time to enjoy the rewards and the opportunities that had unfolded, the unbelievable, miraculous opportunities that had unfolded, and they were personal. They weren't worldly. They were just intimate and personal miracles, like just having something that's always been lingering there, or certain dynamics in your life, in your surroundings, just become incredibly peaceful. It was nothing like a wow factor to it would be to you, but it was such a wow factor to me. It was a personal, intimate miracles. And but one of the things is that I sensed to this morning was, it's like, oh, my relationship with God and the angels was deepening, and in some way that required more changes, from that I had to go through, more changes in myself, more things to open up to. So one of the things I've been focusing on is conditional and unconditional love. And it's like the next phase of my personal ascension process. And I wrote about it in one of the readings last week. And it's just an incredible nuance, and really stepping into who we truly are. But for some reason, like I said, slightly hard pill I don't know how to say it. I mean, it was beautiful, and it was like, and I just don't know the words for it actually. But I did see another angel number, 498, as I was about to speak on this. It says, you and your spiritually based career are supported in all ways by the angels. So they're really trying to tell us something, So what I want you to kind of get out of this too is energetically, whatever is going on, because I'm just not the kind of person to feed into political discussions in a way that, and I'm not saying that everybody, we all are here for a purpose, and each of our voices adds to the light. And there's a spectrum of expression that will do that. But this is my part. And my part will always be to, no matter how horrific something is to bring light to it, because that is also true. And we need that perspective in order to be able to do the work that we will be confronted with, whether we like it or not, or that some of us will be doing, that really requires you to go and step into the mud, and speak truth at that level. But for me, what I feel like they want me to tell you is that though these things might be very disturbing, and you can allow yourself, your psychology, to really think and focus on evil and feel overwhelmed by it, and to feel a loss, feel disappointment or loss of faith or trust in our world, in our democracy. But that is not the purpose. The purpose for what we're seeing. It is also personal. It is something that we all have to reconcile within ourselves, and that is being true to ourselves. Being true to ourselves. And like, there's another writing. I'm just gonna, just full disclosure, we're gonna hopefully get to this reading, right? But I'm thinking about, this is Pride Month, and the mermaids, I mentioned this early in the year, came to me, and they shocked me, because another uncomfortable subject. It's just because how I grew up, just talk. I don't like to talk about things that I'm not fully, competent about. I'm sure that's like most of us. And although this is part of my life, like, right, as a gay man and gay Black man and all those things, but they came in and talked about, and there's a writing for next week that I've been sitting on. I did it yesterday, but just really intimidated to put it out there. And they wanted me to do a workshop. I've been very intimidated to do it. I don't know why, but it's on this subject of sexuality. And it surprised me, because the mermaids, I'd never thought about this, but they showed me so many things about themselves. And the thing they introduced to me was, they introduced themselves by names and by partners. And, they had different partners. I mean, they were what we call homosexual, straight, heterosexual relationships, polyamorous relationships, and they talked about how much it just holds us back. Our sexuality is so tied into our truth and our spiritual alchemy, our ability to manifest. And the conversation that they were having with me yesterday was about being true to ourselves. And the transgender community and the LGBTQ community, sorry, I don't even know that full abbreviation, but anyway, and they were just, it was like random thoughts, about the bravery of these souls and what their purpose is, being true to themselves. And the mermaids were talking about how they, at the fall of Lemuria, that they were able to, some of the Lemurians transformed into mermaids, dolphins, and that they had this ability all the time, really, to change their identity, their energy, to become whatever they wanted. We had this fluid ability of manifestation. And as there was more density in our focus, and the material world made sort of the material physical world become more of the density became so intense that we're not able to access some of these gifts in this. I don't know if it's the consciousness or the framework of the three-dimensional reality, but the point is that they really wanted us to understand, again, the things that are happening in the world. They're serving a purpose, and that that each one of us, in our own way, just by being true to ourselves, is a role model for all of us in each community's struggle throughout the world. We're representing the courage that it seems that we focus on through our three-dimensional mind. The courage that we're witnessing is the courage to be true to yourself, to be true to your wiring, right? To know who you are, and not to be identified by the labels or what other people put on you, or what other people think you should be, or their approval. These things we struggle, our spirit struggles, or our humanity struggles through these things continuously. And they're there to trigger our oneness attitude, because our oneness attitude seeks personal freedom. It seeks to be true to the heart, and not just to the heart of self, but to the heart of the God within it, who is that higher self, the I am presence. And that unconditional love is something that we really have to look at within ourselves versus conditional love. Because when we practice conditional love within ourselves, when we look for conditions to validate ourselves versus unconditional love, then we limit who we are. We place ourselves in these restraints. These things create the practice of denial, and these things create the dysfunction that we see displayed in many layers and many ways. And they're all there for one reason: to provoke us to remember who we truly are and what our true purpose is. So we can't find our purpose if we're not truly being ourselves. And this, I'm sharing with you my denials, my struggles, with all of that. And it's all natural at the same time. It's all natural. Everything that we're seeing, it's all natural, meaning it's all natural to our humanity that's trying to align with its spirit, its truth, its I am. And God has no qualms with that. God is love, and that love is unconditional, to make that equation even more perfect. Which means don't spend or waste an hour of your day or a second of your day worrying about God, thinking about, having thoughts or opinions about you and what you've done, because that's your addition to the equation. You did that comma and then added the but. God is love, but when he doesn't like you when you're like this. He doesn't love you because I did this. And that teaching is false. I'll be brave enough and I'll say that because I've lived under that my whole life, and that teaching is false. Anything that teaches you that kind of teaching, it's false because it prevents you from being one with God and knowing what oneness, knowing the oneness that flows through you, that's always provoking you to purpose. And it's just the fear of the but that comes after the God is love that keeps you from, and you and me, from being able to be true to ourselves. And therefore, it causes us to keep continuously collectively creating the scenarios that we're seeing in the world today. And so the peace of the world really resides within us. And every day, the struggle that you feel that weighs you down, that struggle is the fight within you, the fight of your spirit. It's winning the battle. But our humanity takes the bruises. But because your spirit is always winning the battle, and it will never give up. It has all of eternity to fight for you. So therefore, no matter how bruised your humanity or your physicality appears in your surroundings or your physical body, your spirit has the power to always heal you. And that is why we keep coming back. And you don't depart this life until your purpose begins outside of the physical realm. And so the Archangel for this week is Archangel Jeremiel, and it says, learn from your challenges, relax and trust. And then I can't even comment anymore and just leave that there. Learn from your challenges. This is not an easy process either, but just do your best. And just every day, remember God is love, and that love is unconditional. And, not a but, and that love is unconditional. So forgiveness is not for God to you. It's for you to you. Let go of that but creation, that denial. The but is the denial. I'm just going to call it denial as a part of the equation. Don't put buts, don't put denials in the equation of God is love. And celebrate everyone's truth around you, no matter how different it is from you, because the reward is that if you can love someone else for who they are, the love for yourself will grow deeper and stronger, and the peace of God within you will be a light, a beacon, and a salvation to your own soul and to your own experiences. All right, let's take a look at the card. And we're talking about a legacy here. The 10 of coins. It's about a legacy. This is our legacy that we just spoke about. It's our legacy to love each other, to embrace each other, to not put fear in another person. Because if you put that fear in them, you only put it there because you have it within yourself. If you want to release that fear, don't put fear in other people's hearts by adding a but to your love. And we have the 5 of Cups. And this is about, I feel like the word I'm just hearing or feeling is emotional releasing. Don't be afraid of your grief for whatever reason that you're grieving. Allow your grief to flow, because as your grief flows like a river of water, right? Like a river or waterfall, what will come, that is a purging, and what will soon fall, what is actually pushing from behind is the oneness, the unconditional love of God is pushing out all of that. When we hold in our grief, we prevent that purge that is necessary. And that purge helps us to not only move forward, but to also embrace the changes and the opportunities that are coming through. So don't be afraid to grieve, to release, and don't be afraid to be an ally for others who've also grieved at the hands of cruelty, which is a result of fear. And that fear is a result of denial. And that denial comes from separation. And separation is the grief of the loss of oneness. And oneness is where your peace is renewed and remains eternally intact. There's so many beautiful beings of light surrounding you right now. And they have their hands just stretched open, ready to embrace you and enfold you. And the Four of Swords. Don't struggle. Let go and let God. Let yourself experience this purging so that the legacy of love and abundance will flow through to you. And another 4. And you know, but this, in this context of this reading, this 4 coins is about, you see they're sitting in the same posture. It's about security. A security that you don't control with your actions, but you control with your heart. And as this purging occurs, your heart will be free and you will no longer fear your outer reality. You will no longer have fears about your finances, of that you'll be even taken care of, or that something that you need will not come. You will not have this fear. You will no longer live in denial of your truth, that God's love is unconditional. And with that love comes everything you need. And that you don't actually have to do anything. You don't. But God knows that you desire to do things because you have purpose. And so that is why, instead of struggling alone, that's what fear does, why not co-create through inspiration, through your intuition, through your guidance, through your wiring? Be who you are. Express yourself fully, but without the sense of urgency or struggle. Just be. Just practice being instead of denial. And you'll see that you'll have this kind of security mentally, mental peace, and physical sound, security, and stability. So Archangel Jeremiah is highlighting a purge, an emotional purge in your life this week. And there's so many things that are happening in this week that might provoke unsettling feelings. And you might have responses to these incredible things that unfold, but don't hold back. Don't hold back the emotions. Let yourself purge, because at the end of what might feel like a weakness, emotionally vomiting, right? This is how our ego sees it. It's emotional vomiting. But strength is restored. Holding it in is what makes you weak. It makes your signal weak to God, your connection, your signal weak to the gifts and blessings that are coming to you and the opportunities that are right for you. When you hold things in, it makes your signal weak. And it just reminded me, it's just not about crying, but it's about denying things like publishing a writing or doing a workshop on the mermaids. Just because you're uncomfortable with yourself, truth. There are just always going to be aspects of things that we're uncomfortable with, right? No matter how long we've lived who we are and own up to what we are and are happy with who we are, we just always have these aspects of ourselves. I can't imagine anybody, well, God bless you if you are, and I'm sure there are, because there are, all things are possible. They say yes. So just know that, and I remind you of this all the time, I'm very much like you. And I only hear these things with you. If I didn't do this work and didn't dedicate myself for it to that purpose, I would never have been able to grow either. So these are the times that I'm mostly here, although I've gotten very good with my own practice, daily practice of hearing. But this still, because our collective consciousness, I am presence, is facilitating this is always mind-blowing for me. So I just want to thank you for, blessing me with your light, because that's what each one of these readings are. And I reciprocate and understand that it does the same for you, and I will not deny that either. And I hope that if you've enjoyed this, that you have subscribed. If you have not subscribed yet, sharing this, leaving comments, and all this helps my channel and encourages the work. And also, if you'd like an angel reading with me, you can go to my current webpage, theangelschool.com/services page. There's a link below the video. And also, you can watch my different social media accounts. All that stuff is below as well. For the general reading for this month, if you want to go back and watch those things, or your zodiac readings, there's access to all of this here, either on my channel. Make sure that you select the all notification bell, because I'm still finding people saying, hey, I just found you again. So it's a thing. So that's why your support in this way helps so much. So I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and have a beautiful week. God bless.